Tonight, our special transmission as the Israeli parliament overwhelmingly votes against the formation of a Palestinian state. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 286th day since Israel started bombing Palestinians incessantly. The Palestinian Health Ministry reports in the past 24 hours, at least 54 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes. The death toll from the past 10 days has exceeded 500 due to intensified attacks. A strike on Bureij refugee camp in central Gaza has injured 7 civilians. Following the attack, 4 children are missing. Israeli forces have continued attacks today on Deir al-Bala, al-Zawayda, and the Nusayrat refugee camp. These areas have been under continuous raids for days. 8 Palestinians have been killed in al-Zawayda town. In the Bureij refugee camp, 2 Palestinians have been killed. 5 Palestinians have been injured in a residential flat after it was targeted in the Nusayrat refugee camp. The Israeli Air Force has also targeted agricultural land in Nusayrat. Reports show constant artillery shelling in Beit Hanun in northern Gaza. Hospitals in southern Gaza are overwhelmed by the influx of wounded Palestinians. Red Cross officials warn doctors may soon have to make difficult decisions on who receives treatment. The ongoing conflict has resulted in at least 38,848 Palestinian deaths. A revised report by the United Nations estimates another 10,000 civilians are buried under the rubble. 89,459 are injured. Israel's death toll stands at 1,139. Israel faces accusations of genocide at the International Court of Justice. The court has ordered Israel to immediately halt its military operations in Rafah. The Knesset has passed a resolution that strongly opposes the creation of a Palestinian state. 9 votes were in favor of the formation of a separate state for Palestinians, while 68 opposed any such idea. The resolution declares a Palestinian state as an existential danger to Israel and its citizens. The resolution says the creation of a Palestinian state would quickly lead to a takeover by Hamas. It claims this would perpetuate conflict and destabilize the region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition, which includes far-right parties, co-sponsored the resolution. Opposition leader Yair Lapid's center-left party abstained from the vote, despite previously supporting a two-state solution. Palestinian leaders strongly condemned the decision. Mustafa Barghouti of the Palestinian National Initiative has criticized the resolution. Barghouti declares the decision a rejection of peace. Palestinian Authority official Hussein al-Sheikh labels the decision a confirmation of Israel's racism and a violation of international law. Jordan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs calls the resolution a dangerous breach of international law. This move by the Knesset isn't unprecedented. Similar rejections of Palestinian statehood have occurred before. Despite this, many countries, including Spain, Slovenia, and Ireland, have recognized Palestinian statehood. This decision arrives as Prime Minister Netanyahu is scheduled to address the U.S. Congress. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres is criticizing Israel for its violation of international law in the occupied West Bank. He says these actions are undermining hopes for a two-state solution. Guterres accuses Israel of altering the West Bank's geography through administrative and legal measures. He says Israel is accelerating settlement expansion in strategic areas. Guterres is calling for an immediate cessation of all settlement activities. He says there should be an immediate ceasefire and prisoner release. Guterres' comments came during a recent United Nations Security Council session. In response, Israeli Ambassador Gilad Erdan defended Israel's actions. Erdan accused Palestinian groups of crimes against humanity. The session was briefly interrupted by protests demanding the release of Israeli prisoners. The European Union has introduced new sanctions against Israeli settlers and affiliated organizations. These sanctions target extremist figures, including Moshe Sharvit and far-right groups such as TZAV-9. These measures are in response to illegal actions against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and the obstruction of aid to Gaza. Sharvit is accused of violence and threats against Palestinians. Group TZAV-9 has been involved in blocking aid convoys to Gaza. Sanctions include freezing assets and travel bans. Previously, the European Union sanctioned far-right groups like Lahava and Hilltop Youth for violence. The sanctions come as a recent report has revealed that far-right groups obstructing aid to Gaza are receiving tax-deductible donations from the US and Israel. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has issued a warning to Israel during a televised address. Nasrallah says Hezbollah will target new Israeli towns with rocket attacks. His comments come as recent Israeli attacks have killed several Lebanese civilians, including children. Nasrallah says Hezbollah will escalate its response if civilians' deaths persist. Israel claims it has only targeted Hezbollah fighters and infrastructure. Israeli attacks have killed more than 500 civilians since October 7th. Hezbollah's attacks in Israel have killed 17 soldiers and 13 civilians. The United Arab Emirates says an international force should be deployed in Gaza to restore law and order. Experts view these comments as the Emirates' willingness to be part of a post-war plan backed by the US. Lana Nusayba, UAE's Assistant Minister for Political Affairs, has advocated for a temporary international presence in Gaza to address the humanitarian crisis. Bahrain has also indicated readiness to contribute peacekeepers. Hamas refutes a report by the Human Rights Watch accusing its fighters of war crimes during October 7th attacks. The report is based on the testimonies from Israeli witnesses. It alleges that Hamas and its armed branch Qassam brigades committed serious violations. These include attacks on civilians and civilian structures. Hamas has denounced the report as biased and misleading. It accuses the organization of overlooking Palestinian casualties and infrastructure damage caused by Israel. Hamas defends its actions as legitimate resistance to occupation. The militant group has disputed allegations of mistreatment of detainees. Hamas, however, has expressed willingness to address any wrongdoing within its ranks. A 24-year-old Palestinian with Down syndrome and autism has died alone at his home after being attacked by an Israeli military dog. Muhammad Bar was living in Gaza with his family members. Bar was unable to take care of himself due to his condition. His mother had told the BBC network that they were forced to evacuate multiple times. On July 3rd, Israeli soldiers raided their home. The soldiers let loose a military dog on Bar despite the family's pleas that he was disabled. Bar was severely injured and then taken to another room by the soldiers. Then his family was ordered to leave. A week later, Bar was found dead at home. His body shows signs of minimal first aid. Bar's family is demanding an investigation. The Israeli army has not yet responded to the request. An Ontario Court of Appeal ruling has dismissed an appeal by a leading Muslim charity to halt a government audit. Muslim Association of Canada had appealed for halting Canada Revenue Agency's audit for being biased and Islamophobic. The charity says such an audit violates charter rights, including equality and religious freedom. It contends that such audits impose significant legal and financial burdens. Last year, the court dismissed the charity's bid to stop the audit. Superior Court Justice Marcus Conan ruled it was too early to intervene in the federal examination. In the latest ruling, a panel of appeal court judges found no error in Conan's decision to dismiss the charity's challenge as premature. Following the decision, the charity says the ruling could disproportionately affect minority and disadvantaged communities. It says the ruling limits their ability to challenge government actions in court. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a nonprofit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.